Now might be the time to think about polarizing your three betting range.
Oh, yes. Good point.
So who is your opponent right here? Who is
Tight aggressive.
okay? Tight aggressive players usually respond to your three bets appropriately, and as a result, you probably want to polarize in position. This is not like the person that's always continuing against your three bet. In that case,
No.
you would depolarize your three betting range, right?
Yep.
So here I like to polarize. The last thing you need to consider before you pull the trigger here is who is the guy that's limping under the gun. He's the guy that limped earlier with a6,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So immediately, if I was playing in a live cash game, I would throw him into the category of people that are not limping with malicious intent.
Yeah.
So I would probably, we're 100 bigs deep. I would probably go up to $65 here. And I think
All right.
good things are going to happen. So
she calls and then checks to us.
So who has a range advantage on this board? You do.
Well, I do. It's a pretty good range.
Now ask yourself, you have an ace, do you want to bet with it? So if you bet, how often are you getting called by a worse hand? You're going to get called a percentage of the time by Broadway gut shots with or without backdoor flush draws. You're going to get called by
Kings and Queens.
Jack X, Queens, tens, a percentage of the time. For the most part, I don't think you're getting called by enough hands that you could bet for pure value here, because I think you're going to run into a lot of ace X that's better than yours. You'll chop by the river a percentage of the time, but for the most part, I don't think you're getting called by that many hands that are worse than yours. And then the other thing is that you're never going to get your opponent to fold a better hand than yours. So I don't think that you accomplish much by c-betting for value here. I'd prefer that you check back and allow your opponent to make a mistake. So let her stab the turn too often or check call the turn too liberally. And then also consider the composition of your range. So you're three betting ace king, ace queen, probably ace jack here. So you can value bet with those hands. You can also value bet with jacks full. Then you'll balance that out by taking the occasional random club combo that you have, or the random king 10, king queen, queen 10 combos if you ever have those, and you'd barrel with those to balance everything out, right? So ace deuce.
Although I don't know if I would have like queen 10 or all that much in my range, right?
You'll have those a percentage of the time, not always, because if you three bet with them 100% of the time, you'd be off balance. Your three betting range would be way too wide, but you'll definitely have those a percentage of the time, and you're also going to have like suited connectors with flush draws or backdoor flush draws.
Right.
So what I'm saying is, I think checking back and then using that hand to protect yourself the times that you have kings and queens is really good. So do you see how all that fits together within what I've taught you so far?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
check.
Yeah, go ahead and check.
All right, she checks again.
Now I think it's in your best interest to bet, especially since there are two flush draws on the board.
And we're betting for what, for value here? Or for
we're betting for value, and then keep in mind we're trying to get called by like kings the off times that she flatted with those, queens, tens, and jack X combos, and then against most of his ace X combos we're chopping. Or her ace X combos were chopping. So it's kind of like a free roll for value. So, what do you throw out? A half pot bet there? I like that.
Yeah, half pot. She checks, she calls, and then checks again. And what am I going to achieve on the...
Yeah, I mean, so I'm thinking along the same lines as earlier. I think she probably would have 4-bet ace-king. So...
Yeah.
And probably would have played ace-jack differently.
Yep.
So really the only hand that we're worried about value owning ourselves is ace-queen. The rest of the time we're either chopping with ace-x or trying to get called by jack-x. So I would like a half-pot bet. If I was playing against kind of a fishy player, I might throw out like a 1/3 pot size bet. It's up to you.
All right. Well, is with a third, you're basically hoping they call more, right? That's what you're trying to achieve.
You're giving them a better price,
To
and
call.
you know that you won't have to worry about a check raise.
Yeah.
It's like what would your opponent be representing in that spot? Like
Yeah.
exactly two jacks.
But she wouldn't have played it like that from the get go.
No, I don't think so.
All right, she calls and shows King Queen.
Yeah,
Why,
so
why would she call with that?
this happens all the time in real life. I don't know why people do stuff like that.
Yeah. All right. Well, you see, closer to her, like Snowy, bro, we're not folded.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. All right.
So now this is what I'm talking about. If like I feel like flatting in this situation is just lighting money on fire because
Yeah. No, I wouldn't.
if the opener is a good post flop player who is also opening a wider range of hands, um, i.e., not old man coffee.
Yeah.
I just don't think you should be flatting here because you're just not going to sack your opponent often enough. She's also a little bit short stacked, and then you could get squeezed out of the pot by Tyrese, who is a loose aggressive player, or the button or the blinds. So overall, I would just fold here. That might seem really really nitty, but I think in the long run, you're better off just folding.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But people that play on autopilot will just always flick it in there and call, and that's just a huge mistake. So avoid that as much as possible.
All right.
Ace 10.
It's a raise, no?
I like a raise.
Yeah.
Just take it down. You just bought up all of his equity and didn't have to play out of position.
Yeah.
King 10, same thing, especially since we saw this guy limp with ace 6 off.
Yeah. Everybody folds. Okay.
Free money.
All right, 5-6 after 2 limpers. That might be sort of.
This one can go either way. So if you feel like blasting away in position today, I would go ahead and raise. Limping is tough because it caps your range, and then if you have an aggressive guy in the blinds like Tyrese,
Yeah.
he can just blast you off all that equity. That's not fun.
All right, so we get 3 bets with ace jack.
Right, and when somebody 3 bets out of the big blind, it's always going to be a lot stronger than it would be had they 3 bet out of the small blind.
Small blind, yeah.
But he 3 bet really small.
Yeah.
So even if he showed you 2 kings here, you'd be getting the right price to call.
Right.
For that reason, I'm going to continue. Now here, when he checks, what does his range appear to be?
Well, he's just capped it, right?
Not necessarily. He could have top set, or he could slow play aces.
Slow play aces. Yeah.
What would he do with a hand like ace king here? Would he bet or would he check? And if he checks, would he check fold if he bet? Right. I think that I would probably check here and use the minimal amount of showdown value that I have, assuming that my opponent's range is really strong and I don't want to try and blast him off of whatever he has. And when he leads the turn, that's just super value to me, and I don't feel like fighting back against it.
Okay, so fold.
Yeah, but double check his cards and just see that. Yeah. So
interesting. All right. We get 3 bet with eights.
Again, you're really deep. You gotta defend with eights.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Isn't he like, if he's sort of loose aggressive, is he gonna pay us off?
Well, not all pocket pairs are created equal. So this one has a lot more showdown value than pocket deuces does.
Sure.
And as a result, I would be continuing.
Okay. Interesting.
And on this board, we're going to check call at least one time.
Yeah.
Knowing that he's going to barrel with all of his ace-x since he picked up a gut shot and he has 2 overs. So check call.
Spot here, basically.
Yeah. I'm still check calling for sure.
Okay. 10 of spades doesn't really help anyone.
Yeah, I'd check it again for the same reasons.
Okay.
And again, I'm going to advise you to check call. Let's see how many times we can check call or stack off today. But this is how I would play it. I would for sure check call. And then now on this river, like if you were deeper, you could consider turning this hand into a bluff either by leading for like a pot size bet or check shoving. But in this spot, you're short, and you're probably just going to have to check call.
Check, check. Well.
So yeah, playing the check call game isn't fun, but sometimes it's a necessary evil.
Oh yeah.
So you're going to win big pots and lose big pots in spots like that because you're playing against a loose aggressive player that wants to geometrically increase the size of the pot in position, right? So knowing how to defend in spots like that is important.